Hey guitar players, I'm Korey Hicks. Welcome back to the channel. This is the Guitar in a Year, beginner to intermediate. We are on week number 12, and we have an awful lot of stuff to get to today, so we're going to get started. First thing we're going to talk about today is Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. We had started the intro last week and the first part of the verse. So let's recap what we did there. The intro had a C chord. We learned this C chord, which is in most cases the original or the normal C chord. Our first C chord was the C add 9 that we took from that G series. And then we moved to our F major 7 with C in the bass. This was our very first slash chord. A slash chord is one chord with a different bass tone. In this case, I have an F major 7 with a C in the bass. And what this does is it gives some sort of continuity to this intro line. It kind of keeps something the same over both chords, kind of invoking some sort of movement without really going anywhere at all. And then we had kind of a tricky little part where we're switching the chord with an upstrum. So that strumming pattern was down, down, down. Now with that C chord, I'm strumming the whole thing, then the bass tone, which is that A string, and then it again, and then getting into that F major 7 with C in the bass on an upstroke. Next, we started going up the diatonic series of chords in the key of C, which is C major, then we went to D minor, then E minor, a regular F chord, remember we had that little bar up here, and then G. And so that verse would sound like this. Okay? Now that G is a little bit longer than the other chords. Now I want to bring up a new term here. This is called harmonic rhythm. So if you take a look at the chart, and of course all our charts, PDFs, MP3s, playalongs, everything is over on Patreon. All you have to do is check out the description below. You can head over to my Patreon for $5 a month and gain access to all of these materials. Harmonic rhythm means how fast we're switching chords. If 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to be the harmonic rhythm of the intro, meaning that I'm playing one chord on the first two beats and then I'm switching on beats 3 and 4. Okay? A different harmonic rhythm could be one chord for 4 beats. Now in the case of our G chord in this song, our G chord is going to be 2 full measures. Okay, so that's going to be 8 beats of the G chord. And you can see that notated here in our PDF. This leads me to our next point, which is going to be altering our G chord to be more of an economy of motion in our chord progression. Now, I didn't show this last week because I wanted you to have something familiar when going through the song, but we are going to change that G chord. We're going to turn it into this G chord, which a lot of people are going to call a cowboy G chord. So the way you're going to play this chord is my ring finger is on G, my middle finger is on the A string at the 2nd fret, and my pinky is going to be on the high E string on the 3rd fret. All the same notes are being played between these G chords. It's just I am going to be going from this F to this G. So I want you to pay careful attention to my hand here. As I'm playing F, going to the G I showed you last week, that's a lot more movement than this. Okay? Furthermore, it's less movement to get back to the C chord because all I have to do is take these 2 fingers, my 2nd and 3rd finger, and move them up a string set. Whereas if I'm doing this G, to get back to the C, I have to completely restructure my hand position. Okay? And so, our verse is actually going to look like this now. Okay, so let's listen to the song. We're going to play the intro, and then we're going to play that verse chord progression twice. So at this point we have the first section of the song done. But now we're going to start going into a type of pre-chorus. So for this next section of the song, I'm going to be taking an F chord for one measure, to a G chord for one measure, F chord for one measure, G chord for one measure. It sounds like this. All right, so let's hear the song from the beginning through that section. The next section, we're actually going to be going backwards in the chord progression. F, E minor, D minor, C. F, E minor, D minor, C. Okay? Now, after we do that, we're going to be going to a D minor chord for one measure, and then an F for one measure, and then G for two measures, okay? So again, backwards from F. Do it again. All right, so again, we're going to be going backwards from F. F, E minor, D minor, C. Again. F, E minor, D minor, C, D minor, F, G for two measures. Let's play from the very beginning of the song through this section. This is a lot of chords. This is a lot of strumming. This is an entire key of the major scale with all its diatonic chords, and there's an awful lot going on here. So even though for a lot of people this sounds like something easy, it's just strumming your guitar, you have to understand that this is pretty challenging, and it's okay to feel like that. As you're going through this, I'm going to have the backing track available over on Patreon for the whole entire song, so you can play along, you can start and stop, you can put the track where you need it to be, so you can do some different rehearsal repetitions and that type of thing. So the next section is going to be the chorus of the song. Now some of you have probably heard the term 1-4-5. Well, we have a 1-4-5 chord progression here in the key of C major. If I take my hand, C, D, E, F, G, C is the 1 chord, F is the 4 chord, G is the 5 chord in this key. They're all major chords, and what we're playing is C to F to G like that. Okay, so I have C, F, G. So let's play along with the song through the chorus section and see if we can get through the entire arrangement. Chorus. So at the last part there, you're going to notice a G7 chord going back, and we're just going to play that G chord before it goes back into the verse. Now, once you're able to play through the entire song like this, what my recommendation is going to be is to pull up the actual song, Bob Dylan's original recording, and you can start playing along with that. Remember, this MP3 and backing track is just for practicing purposes. Once we start getting a feel for the chord progression and the arrangement of the song, the next step is really going to be going to the original song, the original track, and playing along with it. One of the things that I really think is effective in practicing is to create a little fantasy for yourself. So let's say that Bob Dylan hired you to play guitar on this album. And so you are going to be taking the place of Michael Bloomfield playing the electric guitar parts. Or let's just say that you're going to be playing a second acoustic guitar to Bob Dylan's parts as well. So I always used to do this, and it really increases the fun factor as you're practicing the guitar because you feel like you're part of the band. And so it's something that you can always do when you're practicing along, acting like you're in that high-stress situation in the studio, you're putting down the track, or maybe you're performing in front of a large audience playing this song. If you're playing electric guitar, I do encourage you to stand up, use a strap, and if you're playing acoustic guitar, sitting is of course perfectly fine. The next thing we're going to be talking about today is back to our note recognition on our low E string. Remember, we did that cycle 4, so let's say it together. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. And then we had that on the low E string like this. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. So now what I'm going to encourage you to do is practice this until you can get it at 100 beats per minute. So let's try that with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, C. All right, very good. Next, we're going to be taking this and moving it to the A string. The order of the notes is still the same. If C and D are a whole step apart on the low E string, that's the same thing up here on the A string, okay? So, C is at the 3rd fret, F is at the 8th fret, B flat is at the 1st, E flat is at the 6th, A flat is at the 11th, D flat is at the 4th, F sharp is at the 9th, B is at the 2nd, E is at the 7th, A is at the 12th, D is at the 5th, and G is at the 10th. So let's take the example of the 100 beats per minute on the A string and see if we can do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, C. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. All right, so I'm going to want you to practice that A string just the same way you did as the low E string so that you can get it under your fingers and you can locate any one of those notes. This is going to be extremely important for some of the things we're going to be talking about in the next month. We're going to be talking about power chords, we're going to be talking about bar chords, and we're going to be doing a lot of moving around the neck. We're actually going to be learning hundreds of chords in the next month. You got that right. We're going to be learning hundreds of chords in the next month. And the difficulty level is not actually going to get that much higher. It's actually going to be pretty easy for a lot of you to do this because we're not going to be memorizing all these different shapes. I didn't say we're going to memorize hundreds of different fingerings, but we're just going to do that with chords. So for example, if I take this F chord that we already know, and I think of this low E string as the root of that, here's F, here's F sharp major, here's G major, A flat major, A major, B flat major, B major, C sharp major, D major, E flat major. The guitar is a self-transposing instrument, which means that we're going to be able to take something that we already learned, like a bar chord, and we're going to be able to move it just by doing this. It's going to be a really fun thing. It's going to expand a lot of the possibilities for you guys, so you're going to be able to play a lot of new songs very quickly. All right, lastly for today, we're going to take that pentatonic scale that we talked about last week. Now, there were some questions about this. Some people said, hey, isn't that the A minor pentatonic scale? Well, yeah. The A minor pentatonic scale and the C major pentatonic scale are what we call relative. They are the exact same notes. It's the context in that we put them that makes it one or the other. So just like pepperoni and cheese can be inside a calzone or on top of a pizza, it depends on the situation that you find those things in what you call it. And what this is if I'm playing a C major chord and I play those notes, it sounds like a major scale. However, if I play that A minor chord we know, it sounds minor. So it's the context. And this is one of these things, I just put a video on this yesterday about modes. Everyone kind of learns this incorrectly in the beginning. I did too, so don't feel bad. But the thing is the scale is just the notes over the chord. It's this relationship, right? So the soloist doesn't really have a lot of autonomy when dealing with this, okay? So if I play this series of notes, somebody else is playing a C chord, that's called C major pentatonic because of the way the notes react with that chord. C sounds like the root. However, if someone's playing an A minor chord and I play that, it doesn't sound like home anymore. The relationships are all different. Does that sound like a major scale to you? No, of course not. Okay? So for example, the solo to Stairway to Heaven is all of the patterns of C major played over an A minor chord progression. Therefore, it's known as an A minor scale. And we'll be getting to all of this later on. Some of you are actually inside of my theory course right now, and we're talking about this quite a bit. If you have questions about this, feel free to put them in the comments below or reach out to me over on Patreon. Okay, so we're going to take this pattern that we already know. I told you to play it up and down. And in the next couple of minutes, I am going to teach you 24 scales. Are you ready? Let's get started. So, if my pinky is on a note from our C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, if my pinky is on a note, that's a major pentatonic. So C, major pentatonic. Now I have F. Find an F up here. F major pentatonic. Or B flat major pentatonic, E flat major pentatonic, A flat major pentatonic. All I'm doing is taking this pattern that we already know and just moving it. The fingers do the exact same pattern or fingering as they did before. Kind of like this. If I were to play it down here, everything moves up by 1 fret, all the way up the neck. Okay? So, wherever my pinky is, that's major. So, you now know, here's my pinky on an A flat major pentatonic, and A major pentatonic, and B flat major pentatonic, and B major pentatonic, and C major pentatonic like we did last week, C sharp or D flat major pentatonic, D major pentatonic, E flat major pentatonic, E major pentatonic, F major pentatonic, F sharp major pentatonic, G major pentatonic, and finally back to that A flat. So that's 12 major scales using 1 fingering. This is the power of the guitar. Now, let's try it the other way. We're going to use our first finger. Whatever your first finger is on is the minor pentatonic scale. So, just like we talked about, this is C major pentatonic. It's also A minor pentatonic with the first finger on the A note. So, if I want an F minor pentatonic scale, first finger on F, play that same pattern. F sharp minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, A flat minor pentatonic, A minor pentatonic, just like we were just discussing, B flat minor pentatonic, B minor pentatonic, C minor pentatonic, C sharp minor pentatonic, or D flat, D minor pentatonic. Pretty cool, huh? So you now know 24 scales. Let's say you were doing the beginning of Refugee by Tom Petty. That's in the key of A major, so my pinky's on A, but you could also think of it as F sharp minor. How about that solo to Stairway to Heaven? That's inside of A minor pentatonic. What about the solo to Money by Pink Floyd? That's in B minor pentatonic, so I'm going to find a B note. So this is going to unleash so much potential in you. You're going to be able to play in all of these different keys. It's going to be so much fun. You can now, with this information, go online and find any backing track in any key you want and mess around with that scale. So lastly, just understand this, almost everything you've ever heard in music is either in one of the 12 major keys or one of the 12 minor keys. So now you have a device that's going to allow you to jam or to improvise over nearly any song you've ever heard. We're going to expand on this much more, and we're going to eventually get to a point by the end of this year where you're going to be able to play over the entire neck in all 12 keys. All right, that was a lot of information for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me over on Patreon. And please like, share, and subscribe. I know there's a few of you out there who are taking the course but have not yet subscribed, so just hit that button. It really helps the channel out a lot. And I will see you back here for week number 13. We're going to be getting into some really cool stuff. All right, have a great week. We'll see you next time. Peace.